Pankaj, my recording. Yeah.
Yes, start.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. In our last session, we have covered up to the sixth shloka. In the third shloka, the fourth shloka, Nirasta Vishaya Sangam Sanniruddham Mano Hrudi Yada Ayati Atmanah Bhavam Tada Tatparam Padam Tavadeva Nirodhavyam Yavad Hrudi Gatam Kshayam Tajnyanam Cha Dhyanam Cha Sheshah Nyayah Cha Vistarah. So, in this fourth and the fifth shloka, Guru Maharaj here, he talks about Nirasta Vishaya Sangam. So, after renouncing the attachment to all the sense objects, Nirasta Vishaya Sangam, and then withdrawing the mind, withdrawal of the mind after renouncing. After renouncing, only the withdrawal can be possible. If you have not renounced, there is no possibility of withdrawal. And renouncement is possible. Vairagya is possible only with viveka. When do we renounce something? When the viveka awakens, that thing which we are attached to, for whatever reasons. Of course, the reason is that I feel that I benefit from that thing. I feel that I derive some kind of joy, pleasure, or happiness, and therefore I am attached to it. Only when the viveka awakens, and then I realize that actually there is no iota of joy, pleasure, or happiness in any of the external things and beings of this world. This has to be perfectly done. There should be no iota of doubt there. Scientifically, we have to analyze, rationally, intellectually, logically, we have to analyze to come to this conclusion that actually there is no joy, pleasure, or happiness. And if I felt as if I was drawing some kind of joy, pleasure, or happiness, it is my ignorance, it is my imagination, it is my illusion, my delusion, because of which my mind projected on that particular thing or being, and therefore I got attached. Now that the viveka, the discriminative intellect has awakened, and I can discriminate between what is right, what is wrong, what is satya, what is asatya, what is nitya, what is anitya, what is temporary, what is impermanent, what is permanent, and so on. And on the basis of that, now I've come to this conclusion that there is nothing there in that. My mind only imagines that I feel when I indulge in that particular object, I feel that, oh, there's some kind of joy is there, some kind of pleasure is there, some kind of thing is there. This is only my imagination. Because if there was really something in that, then everybody without exception should draw the same quantum of pleasure, joy, or happiness out of that feel goodness out of that. But that I don't see. A particular object, I feel that I derive some pleasure, but that same object is a cause of misery for someone else also. Same object, someone else is absolutely neutral to that. I don't derive any kind of joy, pleasure, or happiness, or anything like that. So that means inherently there is nothing there in that. Only it is my imagination that has projected on that. So I have to get rid of that imagination. That delusory imagination that has projected on that I have to get rid of. So then only I can awaken to a higher dimension of consciousness, to the withdrawal of the mind and then a higher dimension of consciousness. That withdrawal has to happen. Until and unless that withdrawal doesn't happen, we keep on clinging to those things. I cannot live without that. I cannot do without this and all that thing. It's all in the mind only and nothing else. Oh, it is very difficult. Without this, I cannot live. Without this, I cannot live. Without that, this. It is all in the mind. A person can very well overcome all that. So, nirasta vishaya sangam. We have to make our mind is strong enough. We can overcome that. We have to be fully determined. We have to get to the root of that. Is there really something there, or I'm just imagining? So when you get to root, and then most of the time, one important thing we have to always remember. Any so-called thing or being of indulgence, where we think we are drawing some kind of joy, pleasure, or happiness, we should understand that that thing or being also doing the bhoga of our own body, mind, intellect, and it will leave its impact on that. Over a period of time, because this is seen in our day-to-day living also we see. We use a knife to cut fruits and vegetables. Over a period of time, the knife loses the sharpness. Now the knife may think that I am indulging in cutting vegetables and fruits, but that which is being cut is also doing bhoga of that knife, and therefore over a period of time the knife loses its sharpness. Similarly, those who are doing the bhoga of a particular thing, so that thing is also doing the bhoga of that body also. So for example, if somebody is doing the bhoga of alcohol, I am enjoying alcohol very much. So alcohol also does the bhoga of his liver, and over a period of time gives him the cirrhosis of liver. You see? So it is both ways. The object that we indulge into, that object also do the bhoga of our own body. So over a period of time, we will go into that. So we have to understand that it is a two-way traffic. It is not one-way traffic. Whatever we indulge into, all our addictions and things, and that those who chew this tobacco or the gutka or masala or something like that, keep it in their mouth somewhere. That is very good. It gives a different feeling and all that thing. Over a period of time, it can give mouth cancer. Mouth cancer, throat cancer, do not know what all. So these are the things, because that is also doing bhoga of his body and then giving him cancer. So we have to be extremely careful. With this viveka buddhi only we will be able to withdraw. Otherwise we will not be able to withdraw. Nirasta vishaya sangam sanniruddham manorudhi. So having withdrawn this mind from the external object, then we have to dissolve it in the Hridi. Hridi is the heart. This is here is the spiritual heart, not the anatomical heart. Spiritual heart is at the center. The anatomical heart is at the left side. So this is the spiritual heart we are talking about, dissolving that. So we have seen that a mind that has been withdrawn from the external world cannot be kept into a suspended animation. It has to be engaged in higher contemplation. Otherwise, it will go back to its old activities. So that is very important. We have to understand. We have seen a couple of examples also. So we have to dissolve it in the spiritual heart, the spiritual center. That is the heart. That is called as the controlled mind. And then when we have done that, sanniruddham manoruddhihi, yada ayati atmanaha bhavam, when that bhava comes, that is of the nature of the self, atmanaha bhava. When that bhava comes, tada tat param padam. then one attains the supreme reality, that is the supreme state, the Parampada. Then Tavadeva Nirodhavyam Yavad Vidigatam Kshayam. So, how long this control of the mind is required? So that is required as long as we are not been able to fully withdraw the mind from the external world. Our mind is still attached to or hanging on something outside. So till then, this control of the mind is required. It has to be restrained or withdrawn. And once the mind gets dissolved, then there is nothing to control, there is nothing to restrain, there is nothing to withdraw once it gets dissolved. Then it is not required in the spiritual center, which is the core of our being, as we have seen in our last session. I am. That is the core of my being. I am. So that I amness. Tad jnanam cha dhyanam cha. So that is the meditation is the only one word for dhyanam, as we have seen in our last session also. In Patanjali Muni's Yoga Sutra, the last four angas of the Ashtanga Yoga. The first four angas are called as the Bahirang Sadhana, which includes Yama, Niyama, Asana and Pranayama. And Antarang Sadhana includes the Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So Pratyahar is the withdrawal of the mind. Then Dharana. Dharana is the concentration. Having withdrawn the mind, it has to be trained to be single pointed. To increase the concentration level to be single pointed. That is Dharana. Dhyana is using the identity with the body, mind, and intellect. So transcending the body, mind, intellect, using the identity with that. And of course, not going into sleep and reaching a thought-free state. Because when we transcend the body, mind, intellect, then we go into a thought-free state. Because thought modification is the quality of the intellect, mind, intellect equipment. So when we are into a timeless state of dhyana, that is going beyond the body, transcending the body, mind, intellect identification, then that is called as samadhi. So when involution of the mind is there in ignorance, that is called as nidra or the deep sleep state, sushupti avastha. Now when that involution of the mind is there in the waking plane of consciousness, in the wakeful state, then it is samadhi or pure awareness or pure knowledge, pure awareness, shuddha bodha or shuddha jnana. So tad jnanam, dhyana. So jnanam and dhyana. So that state, as samadhi state, we call it as meditation. So that is the goal, that is the means, and that is the pure awareness state. And its culmination is in the effortless state. That is the effortless awareness. 24/7, every moment that awareness is there. Pure awareness. That is the Sahaja Samadhi, effortless Samadhi. Sahaja Samadhi, Nitya Samadhi. Then, Shesha Nyaya Cha Vistaraha. Shesha Nyaya Cha Vistaraha. So this is what it is. And the remaining thing is only logic and discussion. Nyaya and Vistaraha, logic and discussion. Now, logic and discussion has got its own place, but it has got its own limitation. Initially, in fact, our scriptures themselves tell us about this. Logic, when a statement is made, it has to be proven. So, Shruti Vakya is there. When a statement is made, it has to be proven through Shruti Pramana, by quoting the scriptures. And then that Vakya, that statement has to be proven through logical analysis or intellectual analysis, rational analysis, scientific analysis. That is called as Yukti Pramana. And that Yukti Pramana also includes the Drishtanta Pramana, that is with example. Logically we prove it and then give an example also from the world of phenomena to prove it. then only it can be accepted. And finally, the final pramana is the Anubhav pramana, our direct subjective awareness of that truth, aporoksha, bodha. So for that, this logic is used, and the discussions are also used for that purpose only, again full discussion. But one should not get involved in kutarka, argument for the sake of argument. That kutarka has to be avoided. All the great masters, they never indulge in useless arguments where there is no point at all. There is a point of discussion. There is some word, some statement is there. There is a discussion is going on. And for discussion also, there are certain rules are there. You apply that, you use that. That is how it should be. Otherwise, some people engage in different kinds of useless arguments, or they use kutarka or kutarka. A crow was teaching his baby crow that whenever a man bends down, remember that he's picking up a stone to throw at you. So the young one is asking the crow, what if he brings the stone in his pocket? Now this is called as kutarka. Because nobody carries a stone in his pocket that whenever I see a crow somewhere, I throw at it. No. Only when you see, then you bend down to pick it up. So it has got no meaning. This kind of kutarka is not allowed. So one should not get engaged into all that. Now in the sixth shloka, I believe there must be some confusion, but there is actually no confusion if you understand it properly. And sixth shloka, Guru Maharaj says here, first the doubt would be, how should I meditate? On what should I meditate? How can I realize the truth? So now Guru Maharaj says, how should you meditate, on what you should meditate? Na eva chintyam, na cha achintyam, na chintyam chintyam eva tat pakshapata vinirmuktam brahma sampadyate tada. So na eva chintyam. Na eva chintyam means it cannot be thought of. So first thing he says is that it cannot be thought of. Now mind is a flow of thought, the vrittis, and the self is beyond thoughts. So one comes to the conclusion that the self is beyond mind. So mind is a flow of thought, self is beyond thoughts, so therefore the self is beyond mind. Na eva chintyam. Now the thing is that mind is trained to think in terms of the objects by objectifying something. Without that it cannot think. Without that it cannot know. It gains knowledge through the sense organs, 5 sense organs, and by using the knowledge gained by the 5 sense organs, and then through the thought process it gains knowledge of anything. So mind knows through this objectification. So whether it is the gross world of names and forms, qualities and so on, or the subtle world of ideas and concepts and thoughts, emotions, opinions and things like that. So only through this objectification only it can understand. But self is not the subject. Self is the subject, and it cannot be thought of as an object. In school lab also we have seen in our biology class, in botany or zoology, there are specimens we have to study in biology. Specimens of plants, leaves, flowers, or some of the animals some of the creatures that we study, like earthworm or frog, or things like that. In medical colleges also, in the first year in anatomy and physiology, the students have to study the different parts of the human body: heart, lungs, kidney, liver, and so on. So that is studied, the size, color, shape, and so on, its weight, texture, and all that. But then Atma cannot be studied like that object. We are studying the kidney now, we are studying the heart now. Let us study the Atma. What is the size, shape, and quality? That cannot be done with Atma. Why it cannot be done? Self is a subject and it can't be objectified. It can't be known. It is the knower, and knower can never be known as an object. That has to be understood very clearly. And this example we have taken many times. The example of the torch. We enter a room which is completely dark, we cannot see anything, and we use a torch. We switch on the torch, in the light of the torch, then we can see everything in that room. But we cannot see the very battery cells on which the torch is functioning. The torch light can illumine all the objects in that room, but it cannot illumine the very battery cells which is powering that torch. So also, when we know something through objectification, we are knowing through the senses, we are knowing through our mind-intellect equipment. The sense organs and the mind-intellect equipment, they are all powered by that consciousness. So therefore, the sense organs and mind-intellect equipment cannot illumine that consciousness which is powering them, as the torchlight cannot illumine the battery cells on which it is functioning. So therefore, it cannot be objectified like that. So therefore it is. But then if it is so, nacha achintyam, just because if it cannot be thought of, therefore it doesn't mean that we should not think of it. This is a problem. First you say that it cannot be thought of, then you say that that doesn't mean that we should not think of it. This is what happens when a finite mind is dealing or trying to contemplate or think over something that is infinite. So, and for an ordinary mind who is not used to this Vedantic scriptures or listening to the Vedantic knowledge, they will get all confused. First thing, it is said that it cannot be thought of. Then the Guru Maharaj says that, but that doesn't mean that we should not think of it. So we have to think of it in another way. What way we can think of it? Okay, we do not know. The thoughts cannot illumine mind, and the thoughts cannot illumine the Atma. Okay, fine. But at least we can confirm what the self is not. Because Atma is beyond everything. So whatever we have thought it to be the self, that entity is really that self. Is the body the self? Is the sense organ the self? Is the pranas the self? Or is the mind and its contents, the emotions and feelings and sentiments the self? Or is the intellect and its contents called the thought the self? So contemplation can be done on this. Thoughts can be used to think over this, go deep into contemplation, and then come to our own conclusion that, well, the body cannot be the self, the sense organs cannot be. For that, the thoughts can be used. So when it was said that it cannot be thought of, that doesn't mean that we should not think of it. So we can think of it that what self is not. Because of ignorance, we have taken something else to be the self. We are considering this body to be the self, or the sense organs, or the pranas, or the mind, or the intellect to be the self. And one by one, through thought process, we are using the thought process only to get rid of this ignorance, this wrong notion that body is the self or sense organs is the self. So for that, so nacha achintyam. So that doesn't mean that we should not think of. At least we can eliminate this. At least we can be for sure what self is not. Okay, with the mind we cannot know the self, but at least we can know with the mind what self is not. So therefore, Guru Maharaj says that nacha achintyam. That doesn't mean that we should not think of. So at least that we can think and confirm, okay, this cannot be the self. By no stretch of imagination can this be the self. Na chintyam. And then again, Guru Maharaj says, na chintyam. First thing when he says, na eva chintyam, it cannot be thought of. Now he says that na chintyam. So you should not think of as an object, na chintyam. So that objectification should not be there. So not to be thought of as an object. Objectification is only limited to what it is not. Then chintyam eva tat. Then finally he says that then you have to contemplate. Contemplate on the Shruti Vakya. Whatever the Vakyas are, the pointers are given in the Shruti, in the scriptures, the highest text in Sanatana Dharma, the Shruti, Vedanta, Upanishad, that is the highest text. So whatever statement, through that statement, pointers are given. Because even the Shruti Vakya is only thoughts alone. Okay. So it has its own limitations, but it will give us the pointers. That pointers will help us in deep contemplation to a point where we are able to transcend the mind-intellect equipment itself. So these pointers given in this Shruti Vakya, the scriptures, they are also thought-based alone, but then that can help us Brahma Sampadhyate Tada. So that can help us to realize the truth, to go beyond the mind-intellect equipment. Because ultimately, when the intellect gives up thinking, then we transcend the intellect and be one with the yourself, the real, the absolute truth. So the intellect has to get exhausted and calm down. Okay, not totally blank, no thoughts. When there are no thoughts, that means intellect is not there. That means one has lost the identity with the intellect, one has transcended the intellect itself. Sometimes we hear people say, I have become blank. No thoughts. Completely blank. Blanked out. So that is what Vedanta is for, because the logic and the argument given in the Vedanta is so exhaustive, hair-splitting logic is given, that even somebody who considers himself to be the most intellectual and all that thing, they have to get exhausted by that. Finally, I become blank. That is the time we can rise above that intellect. So Brahma Sampadhyate Tada. So this Nididhyasan, this contemplation will lead to the state of realization. So then Pakshapata Vinirmuktam. Pakshapata Vinirmuktam means there are no differences. There are no prejudices in the absolute truth, in the absolute self, pure self, supreme reality. There are no differences because it is Ekameva Advitya, one non-dual reality. So there is no question of Pakshapata, partiality, prejudices, differences. There is absolutely no way, because it is one way, one alone, that's all. And therefore, in Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna says that nobody is hateful to me or dear to me. Everybody is same, because I alone am there. Who can be hateful or who can be dear? Not like in some other religions where they are so-called God, they make differences. Okay, they are not following me, then you have to kill that person. So like that, no, you can follow. That is the statement of an entity who's finite and then thinks himself to be God. Because in the infinite, this thing will not be there. Infinite entity will not expect you to worship or not to worship, or this way or that way, or only this way or that way, or this particular form only or not. No compulsion. There is absolutely no compulsion, total freedom, because that infinite entity will not get perturbed or affected by that. Whether one worships or one doesn't worship, it doesn't matter. Whether one follows a particular path or follows another path, it doesn't make any difference to that infinite reality. So therefore, there is no pakshapata. There is no pakshapata, vinirmukta, completely free of that, because there is no duality. Even if you take in the space also, as an example here in the commentary has given, Swami, we have earth, fire, element fire is there, and fire is blown up more by the air, then water will douse it. And all these earth, water, fire, and air, they are all supported by and contained in that space. So space is not against water nor against fire. Both are against each other. Fire can, water can douse the fire. Both are against each other, but both are supported by space. Similarly, there is no pakshapata. So we have seen that here there should be no confusion. Now I suppose the things are very clear. Na eva chintyam, it cannot be thought of. So it cannot be thought of because mind is a flow of thought. So this is beyond thought, therefore beyond mind, it cannot be thought of. So na eva chintyam. Nacha achintyam. That doesn't mean that it should not be thought of. When Guru Maharaj is saying that, he says that this is both contradictory. He says that it cannot be thought of, and then he says that that doesn't mean that I should not think of it. So here it can be thought of in the sense that what it is not. Nacha achintyam and na chintyam. Na chintyam means don't think of it as an object of knowledge. And then again chintyam evata. Then contemplate on it according to the pointers given in the scriptures, the Shruti Vakya. Contemplate on that. So thoughts are used, they are required to a certain limit. Beyond that, those are also not used. Even the scriptures have got its limitation. We'll deal with that when we go further in this. So now I hope this is clear. There is no confusion here. So na eva chintyam, na cha achintyam, na chintyam, chintyam evata. Now, having done that, we will take up a new shlok for discussion today. Now, meditation on the self, as I am the infinite truth, or the self, is the subtlest and the most direct meditation for self-realization. It means for self-realization here. So, now Guru Maharaj is giving a practice to the one who is unable to practice this. A simpler and a powerful meditation technique is recommended in this particular shloka, shlok 7. Svarena sandhayet yogam aswaram bhavayet param asvarena nanu bhavena bhavo va bhava ishyate. Svarena sandhayet yogam aswaram bhavayet param asvarena anubhavena bhavah va abhava ishyate. Now here, yogam. First, let us take this word yogam given. Now, yoga, when it is said, it has got the moment the word yoga is uttered, what comes to a lay person's mind, anybody's mind, is yoga means different kinds of exercises in which we twist and turn our body in any which way and all that thing. That is what is mostly understood. As soon as the word yoga is said, a vast majority of the people, immediately what comes into their mind is a different types of exercises where we twist and turn our body in any which way and all that thing. So that is not so. That is a part of Hatha Yoga. That is called as asana. The Shatkarmas, asana, the Surya Namaskar, then this pranayam. So they are all parts of this Hatha Yoga. Of course, most of the people, when yoga is said, they know only about asana. Very few may know about pranayam also. But about the shatkarmas, bandhas, mudras, nobody knows. Most of them will not have heard of it. They will not know about it. Most of them will know a little bit about asana, and maybe very fewer of them will know about a little bit about pranayam. Otherwise, that is what is understood. Twisting the body any which way they want it. Real yoga is not twisting the body, but straightening the mind. That is what Gurudev used to say. Real yoga is straightening the mind. That is the Sanyama. Sanyama is the control of the mind. That is the real yoga. So this Sanyama or the control, that is the real yoga. Not straightening the mind, not twisting the body, but straightening the mind. That is the important thing. Now here, yoga comes from the root called yuj, yuj dhatu. Yuj in Sanskrit means to unite. Yuj. So ordinarily, what we understand is that to unite finite with the infinite. Yuj, yoga. To unite finite with the infinite. But then again, for yoga, first there has to be a viyoga, isn't it? Without the viyoga, how can there be yoga? Viyoga means that there was a separation, and then now there is a union. So, was there ever a viyoga? That now there is a union. Now there was a viyoga, separation. Now let us unite that. So, there was no point in time that there was ever a viyoga. This viyoga doesn't exist. There is no separation between this so-called finite and infinite. So for that yoga has to be there, but yoga doesn't exist. If yoga doesn't exist, then where is the question of yoga then? So at this very moment, we are united. Even this statement is also wrong. To call that at this very moment we are united with the infinite, that statement is also wrong. Because we are that infinite, that supreme consciousness, you see, that infinite consciousness. So where is the question of viyoga? So where is the question of yoga when there was no viyoga? You see, many of these terminologies that are there in Sanskrit, which is often spoken of, just like that offhand, without thinking. But the deeper meaning, we have to understand that. So yoga is what generally understood is not yoga. As regards the self is concerned. Then of course in the other languages, this is Sanyoga and all that thing. This is a good yoga has come, or the occasion. For the occasion also they call it as yoga. This is a good yoga. So many different versions are there. But we have to understand it very clearly. There should be no confusion regarding that. The Brahma, or the illusion of the person under the delusion of viyoga, that has to be got rid of. Now there is an illusion under a delusion of viyoga, that there is a separation. This is only a delusion, that there is a separation in the first place. There is no separation of yoga. That has to be, that delusion has to be removed. The delusion of yoga has to be removed. This is only one ekameva advitiya. The delusion that now I am a tuchha jiva, now I have to be one with the supreme reality. So supreme reality is somewhere yonder, and I am a tuchha jiva here, and this union has to happen. So now in my ignorance, I am thinking there is a viyoga between I, the tuchha jiva, and the supreme reality. So now this delusion that is there in me about viyoga, that has to be removed. And the method to remove that is yoga. So the word yoga, we can say that instead of calling it as a union or to unite, instead of calling that, we can call this word yoga as a technique, as a method, as a means through which realization can happen. So there are so many yogas are there. We have Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Kriya Yoga, Raj Yoga. Then we have the Dhyana Yoga, Jnana Yoga. So different yogas are there. So these are different techniques, different means, different methods to help us on the way. The main two paths for realization of self, as I have always been saying, is that the path of knowledge, Jnana Yoga, and path of devotion, that is Bhakti Yoga. They are the only two paths for realization of self. And all the other yogas, like Hatha Yoga, Kriya Yoga, then Japa Yoga, Raj Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, they will assist in these two paths, in the Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga, in the making the body steady for meditation, making the mind single pointed, and all those things, those techniques that is given there, those things will help in that. But the main thing is either Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. So here now, this yoga, Swarena Sandhayet Yogam. Now here Guru Maharaj says Swarena Sandhayet Yogam. So Swara, through Dhvani, through sound, we can reach the self. But this is one method. Those who cannot contemplate on the higher reality, on the infinite truth directly, like that, then a technique Guru Maharaj is given here by contemplating on the Swara. Swarena Sandhayet. Aswaram Bhavayet Para. Now Swara, the word Swara. Now we take the support of Swara for contemplation, this method. Now, this word Swara has got again different meanings and connotations here. Swara is sound, simple meaning. Swara is also the notes, musical notes. Sare Gama Pada Nisa also, they are also Swaras. Then Swara also, we have Swara and Vyanjan, that is the vowels and consonants. So the vowels in Sanskrit language also, they are also called as Swara. Then in Vedic chanting also there is Swara. The normal Swara, the lower Swara, normal Swara, one higher Swara, two higher Swara, three higher Swaras, like that. So while we are doing Vedic chanting with Swara, Om Sahasra Shirasha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishwato Vutva Atyatishtat Dashangulam Purusha Evedagam Sarvam. So the swaras go up and down like that. So that is also Swara. Musical notes are Swara, vowels are Swara. Swara means simple sound also. But here Swara means Om. So Om is the symbol of that absolute truth. But the Om is also the same, you can call it as absolute truth also. So it is the symbol and the means and the goal. This Om, the self. So it is a symbol also, means also, and the goal. So here Swara is this Om. Now Om has got three the sound. Akaranta, Ukaranta, Makaranta. U, Ma. These three sounds, just put together and Om comes. So Dirgha U with a Chandrabindu on top of that. So there is a pronunciation of A is there, U is there, and Ma is there. Ma is the Dirgha one. So Akaranta, Ukaranta, Makaranta. So these three. In fact, in Mandukya Upanishad, whenever we do it, in that, in great detail, it has been given on this only, this Omkar and the three states of consciousness, the waking dream and the deep sleep state and so on. So here also now, A, U, Ma, Akar, Ukar and Makara. So they represent the three states of consciousness: the waking state, the dream state, and that which is unmanifest. The three states of consciousness. It also represents, that is the deep sleep state or Sushupti Avastha. It also represents the gross, the subtle, and the unmanifest vasanas, the causal body. So waking, dream, and the deep sleep state, the gross, subtle, and the causal body. So all three are represented here: Akaranta, Ukaranta, Makaranta. So now between the two Omkar chanting, Om and then again Om. So between the two, the silence which is there, that is called as Amatra. So these three matras are there: Amatra, Umatra, and Mamatra. And then there is Amatra. Amatra means one Om chanting is over, the next Om chanting starts. In between there is a silence, as we call Sandhi Kala. It is also called as Amatra. So focus on that. So that Sandhi Kala, that Amatra, that is the infinite reality, the pure self, which is the substratum of the sound Om also. So this Amatra. So a Sandhi Kala it can be called. That is the pure self. So it pervades through all the three states of consciousness: waking, dream, and the deep sleep state. It pervades through all the three: the gross, the subtle, the gross world of names and forms, as well as the gross body, the subtle world of ideas, concepts, opinions, and thoughts, emotions, and feelings and sentiments, and the unmanifest, the causal, the unmanifest, that cause of both the gross and the subtle, the unmanifest. It is the vasanas, the total vasanas, at the Vyashti as well as Samashti, at the individual level as well as the totality level. So this pervades, this is a substratum and it pervades all that. So all the three states and all the gross, subtle, and causal, unmanifest, this particular self, the pure self, the infinite self, is a substratum of everything. So everything emerges from that substratum, sustains, and then merges back into that. As regards the self is concerned, there is no question of emerging from somewhere, being sustained for some time and then getting dissolved. No, no. Self is there as always. And the other things appear to emerge from this substratum, the pure self, appear for some time and then again get dissolved or merge back into the substratum. So now this meditation technique is given here about that. Now something about this meditation, that is also very important. Those who have practiced meditation sessions, they may know. First thing we need to know about meditation is that when we want to sit in meditation, we have to have a proper time for that. First, decide what time we have to meditate. Early morning time is better, Brahma Muhurta, because the world is sleeping and we have woken up after a good night's sleep, so our mind is also blank. Yesterday things have gone so fresh, and at that time, that is the best time for meditation. So a time has to be fixed, and every day at the same time you have to meditate. Every day there should not be changing time. Okay, today I meditated at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then tomorrow I got a little late. I meditated at 5:30 in the morning, and today then after that what happened? No, it was a very late night, so I couldn't get up. So then I meditated at 8 o'clock. That doesn't work. Every day same time, fix it, whichever is convenient for you. That is the best time. Morning time is preferable. No. And you don't have to meditate for hours together. 10 minutes, more than enough. So the time has to be fixed. The place also has to be fixed. Every day at the same place. Puja room is the best. So in the puja room, we can sit and meditate nicely. So the time has to be fixed, place has to be fixed, And the asana also that is used for meditation should not be used for any other purpose. So you should not sit on that asana and have our meals also. The same asana we are using for meditation also. No, that asana should be used only for spiritual purpose. You can sit on that and do japa, meditate, or read the scriptures. That is fine, but should not be used for any other purpose. Moreover, our asana should not be given to anyone else. So we are practicing meditation on this asana, and then somebody says that, oh, I don't have my asana. Can I borrow your asana for a few minutes? No. So our asana should not be given to anyone. So individual asana, they have to use their own asana. So time should be fixed, place should be fixed, and asana should be fixed. That asana, that should not be given to anyone else. Then the posture in which we'll be sitting. The best, of course, is Siddhasana, but that is fine if you cannot sit in Siddhasana. Sira Sukhasana is also fine, cross-legged Sukhasana. And if now that is also, one may find difficult if it is because of health issues and things like that, then one can sit on the chair and practice meditation. So the asana, the benefit of Siddhasana is that in Siddhasana there is a natural Mula Bandha is there in Siddhasana. So that is why Mula Bandha is natural, plus Vajroli Mudra is also natural in that. Mula Bandha and Vajroli Mudra. Sorry, it is only Mula Bandha is very natural for that in Siddhasana. And Mula Bandha is a very important bandha in yoga also. This is a very important thing. It happens naturally. So this Siddhasana is very good, and it is easier compared to Padmasana. Then, of course, we have to have asana sthirta. The body should be still, straight, without moving, not like an idli patra going up and down this way, that way. So if we have done the practice, we should be able to sit for 10 minutes without any movement, without any aches and pains in the body, or without any, what you call that, tingling sensation, or the sensation goes off like that. Numbness should not be there anywhere. So that asana siddhi has to be there. That without any difficulty, we can sit for 10 minutes in the same posture without moving, without having any pain or numbness or anything like that. And then the mind has to be focused on something. So now here the sound is given because something is required for the mind to focus on. Mind cannot focus on something with no form or no sound, no form or no quality rather. So there has to be something for the mind to focus on. So here that is Om chanting. We start with Om chanting and slowly we chant, and then we keep listening. After one chant, then the next and the next, and then we slow down slowly. That is what this Om chanting is. And try to listen to that sound. And then focus on, first after chanting, then start focusing on the Sandhi Kala between the two chants. And not allowing Amatra, and not allowing any other thought to manifest. The moment a thought manifests, then the Om chanting is done. There is another method also given in Nada Yoga, or Nada Sadhana also they call it, Nada Yoga or Nada Sadhana. What is that? We can sit in meditation posture, and then now the thing is that when we sit in meditation, of course the smell sensation or the taste sensation out of question, because we are sitting in meditation, and if you are doing Khechari Mudra also very good. So that doesn't bother us. Smell also doesn't bother us. And eyes are closed, so vision also doesn't bother us. So what bothers us most is the sound, because the ears are open. The sound coming from the surroundings, that bothers us the most. So now in this Nada Sadhana, Nada Yoga, Nada Sadhana, what they are saying is that, okay, so we make the sound itself as the focus of attention. Otherwise, when we are meditating on something, contemplating on something, and the sound is coming, oh, the sound is too disturbing. So now it is said that now focus on sound itself. So in this sadhana, what they do is that you pick up a sound. A gross sound is there. Whatever sound we are listening to, Among them, which is the subtlest of sound, which is the faintest one that we can hear. So focus fully on that, to the exclusion of all the other sound. So focus on that, the faintest and the subtlest of sound that we can hear from among so many of them. Then focus fully, then that becomes more clearer to us. Then once that becomes very clear to us, then leave that and try to search for any other subtler sound, fainter sound from that. So, and slow, that is called as Nada Sadhana. So focusing on the sound alone, to the exclusion of one sound, to the exclusion of all the other sounds. Because if sound is disturbing, then this is very good sadhana. You're focusing on the sound and search for the subtlest of them and focus on that exclusively. This is how the Nada Sadhana is done. So that is also good. So this particular thing, Om Sadhana, then Asvarena Anubhavena Bhavaha va Abhava Ishyate. So this, when continuously, when we go into this contemplation of this and focus is on the amatra, the sindhikala, continuously we are focused on that, then we transcend the sound itself, the swara itself, where there are no thoughts also. That is when we get into the state of self-realization, Atma Bodha. Leads to Atma Bodha. Sandhi Kala will lead to Atma Bodha, Amatra. Actually, Sandhi Kala or Amatra itself is the supreme reality. But then we have to have the awareness, direct subjective awareness, Aporoksha Bodha. So that will help us in getting to that. So the focus should be on the substratum of the ever-changing samsara, the Srishti, ever-changing world. The focus should be on the samsara, on the substratum of that. So everything is changing, and then for any change to know, there has to be an unchanging background to know the change. So as far as we know everything is changing. That means there has to be an unchanging background. The sounds come and go. The sounds keep on changing. So there has to be a substratum from which the sounds emerge and in which it emerges back. So always the awareness of that substratum has to be there, even in this world, when we are functioning in this world. So focus should be ever on that substratum, that is the background on which this ever-changing world appears. So here, Guru Maharaj has given us a technique, Swarena. So if it is difficult to contemplate on the higher reality, fine. Then we contemplate on the Swara, that is Omkara. Swarena Sandhayet Yogam Aswaram Bhavayet Param Aswarena Anubhavena Bhavaha Va Abhavaha Ishyate. So then all that thing that is there or not there, everything that goes off, existence, non-existence, the substratum, without the substratum, everything that appears will not appear. The substratum is the reality. That which appears and disappears is not the reality. Sometimes it appears to exist, sometimes it doesn't appear to exist. It goes out of existence. That is not the reality. So the focus should be always on the substratum. With this, we'll conclude today's session. Then the next shlokas we'll take in our next session. Now, if anybody has got any questions on the shlok, the verse that we covered today, you can ask.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.
From today, we are entering into the serious business of sadhana.
Yeah, sadhana has to also go. After listening to the theory, the practical part has to come, isn't it?
Exactly. Now we don't have to study books. Now we have to study our mind and how to transcend the mind through Om. Swamiji, this Om is my most favorite subject.
Hmm.
And somehow or other, I got a fascination for this word, Swamiji.
Hmm.
Surprisingly, Swamiji,
Hmm.
today I had gone to ENT surgeon for my voice.
Uh-huh.
So there is a endoscopy to be, laryngoscopy is to be done on Monday.
Mhm.
But what he advised me was really strange, Swamiji. He said, maybe later on you may be requiring to do the speech therapy to
Speech
strengthen
therapy.
the speech
Uh-huh.
therapy. So that
Oh,
you so
Vedic
that
chanting is the best speech therapy you can ever have.
I'm coming to that, Swamiji. So he said that this is to strengthen the vocal cords of my vocal cords, you see.
Mhm.
And to my utter surprise, he told me, they start chanting Om.
And today you got the Om Sadhana also.
This is very strange coincidence for me. Now coming to the text. Swamiji, what is this Moolband? Moolband, you use that word. What is this Moolband?
Mulabandha is one of the bandhas given in Hatha
अभी
Yoga.
क्वेश्चन आंसर 1-2 मिनट में खत्म हो जाएगा.
So Mulabandha is one of the bandhas given in the Hatha Yoga. There are different bandhas are there, like a Jalandhar bandha. Jalandhar bandha means the throat lock is Jalandhar bandha. Udyan bandha is the abdominal lock. Mula bandha is the particular portion of the muscles that is called as perineum muscles. The contraction of the perineum muscles is the Mula bandha. If you go through this Hatha Yoga Pradipika or the Abhyas school of yoga, Swami Satyanandaji's Hatha Yoga Pradipika, or even the simple text of Asana Pranam Bandha Mudra of this Abhyas school of yoga, if you go through that, it is there. That is given in details, Mula Bandha. Which exact, what muscle is there that has to be contracted during that time? Mula Bandha.
But why it is important, Swamiji, for when we sit in the Siddhasana, why it is important to to have the Moolabandha?
Yeah. So in that, when we do pranayam practice, in which you practice kumbhaka. Kumbhaka is the internal retention. In internal retention, after we inhale, then we hold the breath within. That is called as antar kumbhaka. When we hold the breath within, at that time, all the three bandhas have to be applied. The Jalandhar bandha, Udyan bandha, and the Mula bandha. All three bandhas are applied at that time. And then during the rechaka or exhalation, then the bandhas are released. So that comes under pranayam practice. There is a book. I can mail you that book, so you can go through that. In that it is given elaborately. Mula Bandha is very important practice. There is a separate book exclusively on Mula Bandha alone of BR School of Yoga. So that much importance they have given to that Mula Bandha.
Okay. Now, Swamiji, coming to the lighter moments. This my group is a Upasana group with little, not little, but a lot of efforts. They have come to this Advait philosophy. The sixth stanza of this book, Chintyam Achintyam.
Chintyam Nacha Achintyam.
Something to be cannot be thought of that you have to think. Swamiji, I thought that some of them may run away. So on Tuesday we have study circle. We finished 4th and 5th, and yesterday we had only one. Yesterday we had study circle. In this study circle, we had only the 6th stanza. And I think at the end, everybody said, now it is clear.
Now it is clear. Oh, very good, very good. I'm happy to hear that. So there is no confusion now.
No,
Na
no,
cha achintyam, chintyam, na chintyam, chintyam evata. So these 4 words are given, there is no confusion.
yeah. For
Good.
Chintyam, it should not be, for Chintyam, it is only the objects. But Achintya, you have to don't have to take the self as the object, but self as a subject. So this is a vast difference between these two, and it's now absolutely clear, and more clarity you brought today, Swamiji.
So today the clarification is there now. So there should be any shadow of doubt regarding that should go away. No confusion now.
Yes, Swamiji.
So anybody is putting question on that, they can very well explain what is na chintya, na achintya, and then na chintyam, again chintyam evatat, the 4 words, they can very well elaborate on that.
Right. Hema Ben, want to ask anything, and you want any clarity from Swamiji?
Hari Om Swamiji.
Om,
Yesterday, Pankaj Bhai explained, I put comma. Now today you explain, I'm putting full stop. Like, I will rehear everything, whatever today you have said, but you made it very clear today. And now there is no confusion. My mind also is settled. And I'm also thinking now, yes, we have to think like, it is difficult to think on consciousness because our mind can't accept that. Mind has to be pure, impartial, then we can think of consciousness. And we have to take it as a subject and not object. So, and we have to go slowly beyond that, and we have to cultivate intellect to start, means go and explain mind, so mind has to go beyond intellect and everything. So we can understand what is consciousness. Am I right?
To be one, to be in that awareness, we have to transcend the mind-intellect equipment itself. Mind-intellect equipment also is not reality. It has got only a temporary existence. So transcending the mind-intellect equipment, that is disidentifying with the mind-intellect equipment itself, is realization of self. You see, when we go beyond the mind-intellect in the waking plane of consciousness, of course, we do go beyond mind-intellect every day in the deep sleep state, but that doesn't help. That is nidra. That we can call it as jada samadhi also, when that awareness is not there. So when we transcend the mind-intellect itself in the waking plane of consciousness, that itself is realization, that is being one with our own true self. Because mind is the one which creates duality. In the waking plane of consciousness, when we have transcend that, then we are in the non-dual self.
Yeah, because as I have understood, Brahma is free from all partial, impartial. As last, God says, that he is impartial. So it's beyond space or everything. It is beyond, So there are no object with the consciousness to understand. Mind understand with the objects with some qualities, So those are not required, and you have made it very clear, I can't go on saying because it is not my thing. Guru is you, and I salute to you. Thank you very much.
Another important thing is that, so therefore, God cannot be angry with me.
Yeah.
God cannot hate anyone, cannot like anyone. Somebody is not very dear to him, somebody is not very hateful to him, and that God cannot be angry with me also.
Yeah, because he is not object, no? So nothing is related.
We have learned just now.
Yeah, there are no partiality, nothing he can't be.
No partiality, absolutely, because there is a question of partiality. Only in duality there is partiality.
Correct.
So when we go beyond in meditation, when we transcend the mind, then we are one with our real self, because mind is the entity which creates the duality. In the absence of mind, there is no duality, and this is our everyday experience. In the deep sleep state, there is no question of any duality. Ekameva advitiya. Okay, in the dream state and the waking state, we experience the duality of the so many names and forms around us. But in the deep sleep state, we do not experience, because temporarily the mind and the intellect, they are absent. It is not experienced. So similarly, this mind itself is creating duality. In the waking plane of consciousness in meditation, if we can transcend the mind-intellect equipment, then we are one with the reality.
But transcending is very difficult, no, Swamiji?
Very difficult, very, very difficult, but not impossible.
No, nothing is impossible. I am possible.
Ah, there you are.
But still, like, it
Swamiji,
takes time. It takes time.
Yeah,
Swamiji, with Om, it is possible. With Om,
Yes.
it is possible, Swamiji.
Om can help us. Om chanting can help us. This
Yes.
Nada sadhana,
Hmm.
that is also very good sadhana. Nada sadhana, Om chanting, that can help us. So first, from the sound, if sound is disturbing us, focus on the sound. Then get rid of the sound, then come only on the Om. And then in between Om, the Amatra or the Sandhi Kala. And then go beyond the sound and silence both.
Swamiji,
Hmm.
being a student of Advaita philosophy, one statement I have not understood from the people who do the upasana. They say that yesterday or today morning, I had a glimpse of divinity. Now, in the previous stanza, one of the previous stanzas, it is mentioned either you know or you do not know.
Hmm.
It's not 50% I know divinity and 50% I do not know. What is this glimpse?
Realization cannot come in degrees.
Yes. So what is this glimpse of divinity?
I have not understood what you said.
Glimpse of divinity. A bhakta says that I had a glimpse of divinity.
Only glimpse.
Glimpse of divinity.
He had a glimpse of divinity.
What does it mean?
Once you have a glimpse of that, the game is all over. See, if I see a snake and then I discover that 1 millimeter of that snake is actually a rope, that is just a glimpse. That is enough to know that the entire snake is a rope. 1 millimeter appears like rope. Then it is rope alone. So that is over. It is not that one millimeter of that snake is rope and the rest of the thing is a rope snake. It cannot be like that. If the moment I realize that, hey, 1 millimeter, half of it appears like a rope, that is rope. That is no more a snake then. That's it. So this is what it is. There is no question of a glimpse. Glimpse means the game is over. Isn't it? You don't have to see the snake fully or see the rope fully. A part of that rope, if you have seen, then you are sure that it is rope alone and there is no snake on that. One glimpse is enough. That's it.
Okay.
Hariom Swamiji.
Okay, thank you.
Hariom Swamiji. I feel like for meditation also we require pure mind, isn't it? Without pure mind, if a mind is agitated or partial or have all this, all triputis and all the jealousy and so and all, you can't contemplate or you can't meditate, like,
Therefore, in the previous shloka, it was mentioned, no, nirasta vishaya sangam. So then only the withdrawal is there. The renunciation, after renunciation, the withdrawal is there. The nirasta vishaya sangam has to be there. Because when mind is diverted into so many distractions, as we said last time, we have also discussed, mind is the weapon of mass distraction.
Yeah, correct.
So that has to be made single pointed. Without making it single pointed, it is not easy to focus on the object of meditation. Now, even if we are focusing on Om chanting in meditation, so mind has to be sufficiently withdrawn. Otherwise, during that Om chanting, some other thoughts will come. So that should not happen. Now we are sitting for Om chanting, therefore only Om chanting and nothing else.
No, but thoughts go on coming, no?
No, the thing is that for every activity that we do, see, one of the highest spiritual practice a seeker can have is being 100% present in the present moment. Having 100% presence in the present moment is the highest spiritual practice. So whatever you may be doing, in mundane daily routines or chores you may be doing, be 100% present there. Like suppose, for example, we are having food. So let us 100% focus on food itself. Each and every dish that is served there, enjoy that, take the morsel, taste it, and be there. It should not be that many people, what they do is that they sit with their meal in front of the TV screen. So they are observing the TV screen and eating the meal. Or nowadays, of course, the TV screen has gone. Now that cell phone has come. So they are seeing something on the cell phone, either WhatsApp messages, Instagram posts, or Facebook and things like that while they are having that. That is not the right way. Even on a daily, day-to-day chores that we are doing, if you try to be 100% present in that moment, while I'm having food, I have to be 100% present in that and enjoy each and every morsel that I'm having. So this way, while I'm washing my hands at the wash basin, I'm fully focused on that. No thought I'm allowing to come. And then I open the tap, mix the water, and then I wet my hands, then take the hand wash, then apply the soap properly. Then again, I open the tap and then get rid of all the soap particles, fully focused on that. No other thoughts I don't allow them to come there. We should not allow that. So this practice should come in our day-to-day life. So focusing fully on the present moment. Whatever activity that you are doing at this moment, your focus should be fully on that and not run into something else. While we are doing something and the mind is somewhere else, eyes are looking at something else. So let the eyes be there, mind be there, fully focus on that. Let the hands be there. So like that for every activity. Similarly, when we are sitting in meditation, then Om chanting is there, then fully focus on that. Be present there. So that is what, when we do this practice throughout the day, since we wake up in the morning, till going to bed, when we are doing this practice, slowly it becomes a part of our life. It comes very easily to us. Now, of course, because our mind is distracted by so many things, so while we are doing one activity, mind is something else, thinking something else also simultaneously. So this is what, and mind is expert in multitasking also. This is what happens. So we have to do this. Living 100% in the present moment is one of the highest spiritual practice a seeker can have. A spiritual seeker can. So that practice one has to do.
Hari Om, Swamiji, thank you.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Yes.
Like always, I say, the belief learnt in the previous book blasted by the subsequent book. In this case, the very culprit is blasted off totally. So then there is no final statement to be awaited now. The very culprit is totally destroyed.
Nice, we have covered only 7 shlokas.
Yeah.
There are 15 shlokas coming up. Good. This is the purpose of Upanishad.
Yeah.
Mind should go absolutely blank.
I think we can conclude, Swamiji.
So we can conclude now.
Yes, Swamiji.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om.